Welcome to the Persistent Managers Podcast, where we help managers and direct reports win faster. Hosted by Paul Leon with the support of his wife, Trisha Leon.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. For those who don't know me, again, my name is Paul Leon. I have helped train over 3,000 professionals in consultative selling skills while maintaining a 4.6 out of 5 satisfaction score. College dropout who put himself through college to get an organizational behavior degree and doing my MBA part-time. And this content I'm putting out today is part of my side hustle and is no way affiliated with my full-time employer, Generac. So with that out of the way, what I want to talk about today is how to dominate discovery and consultative selling with two very strong frameworks that I think will give you the edge in your next set of consultations. Before we get into it, for these frameworks to work though, you want to address your baggage of beliefs. I think a lot of the time, especially early in my career, I fell into the trap of having bad baggage of beliefs. So I'll give you an example. So when I used to sell phones, I would notice that a lot of the reps sometimes would see someone who had a phone in their hand and they would run away and not help that person because there was an assumption, a self-fulfilling prophecy that this person wasn't going to have any chance to buy anything. They were just a problem. A lot of the time, that's not true. And sometimes it is true. But if you actually take every opportunity just to work on your skills, you'd be surprised. And that's something I did early to get quickly to a 60% close rate in a year and top 10% in sales year over year. So I want to address that first. So here's how you can start to alter or adjust your bad baggage of beliefs if that's something you carry. Maybe you don't, and that's fantastic for you. I just know I'm human and I make mistakes. So the first thing is you got to care more about the customer than they do about the product or service you're offering. So if somebody, and I'm going to use Generac again just because it's top of mind, if somebody were to want a Generac backup power system or backup power system, you have to have conviction that helping them avoid the pain of power outages is something that you believe is strong with them. Like something I'll say is, if you were a member of my family, and I'll only say that if I truly believe in what I'm selling, but if you were a member of my family, I would recommend X. The second thing is you got to have that conviction. Sales is sometimes a transference of energy, but more importantly, the money you make is based on how many people you serve in your consultative process. Notice how many, I said how many. If you're only helping one person a month instead of 30, 40, 50, then that scale of commission money is not going to serve you in the back end because you didn't serve enough people. And I know that's really hard to hear sometimes, but in just being factual with you and just being transparent with you, that you have to conquer these two areas of those baggage of beliefs. So let's get into the frameworks and start to add a little additional value in this podcast. So if you do not know the answer, the first framework is called the ASA framework, which stands for acknowledge, seek education, ask another question. And this is best applied when you do not know the answer. So I was working with a professional business owner, very successfully said, I'm really sad because I just had to let an employee go because he said yes to too many things and he never validated the information with the customer. He would just say, yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that. Or there's other situations I see where the sales rep believes that they have to come up with an answer. Instead of falling into those two traps, use the ASA framework. So if you don't know the answer, it might sound something like this. So, hey, totally understand. Thank you for bringing that up. So I have a little bit of gap of understanding in what you're addressing here. Talk to me a little bit more about why this is important to you and what challenges, if we solved it today or in the next 30 days, would make you want to be a yes toward considering our solution or doing business with us. So that's an example of how you use the ASA framework. I think the biggest thing sometimes is we feel we have to convince someone when in reality, the better we are at helping someone and let them hold the product overall, they're going to have an easier time deciding and buying because we're empowering them for their needs. And when you get really good at this skill, actually, it doesn't really matter what you sell, whether it's banking services, generators, cell phones, it doesn't matter. Now, obviously, depending on the price point, that is going to determine how much of this skill you're going to have to use. Like if you're selling a jet for like $300,000, unless you have somebody who's making like $1 billion, maybe you can sell them on the spot. But again, it's just some food for thought. The second framework, and this is important, is when you know the answer. Okay, so we talked about when you do not know the answer. Now we're going to talk about when you know the answer. So when you know the answer, you want to use the AE, as in everybody, A framework, which again stands for acknowledge, educate, then ask another question. So I'm going to make this up. I don't have this off the top of my head. I don't have the spec sheets in front of me. But the way you would use this framework is if somebody says, well, I'm considering, and I'm going to use Generac again here as an example because I work there full time. I'm considering a Generac generator over another brand. And I'm not sure which one to choose. It might be something along the lines of, hey, totally understand. I think it's very smart that you're weighing your options. It shows you've done your homework and you don't want to make this decision lightly. In my experience, what I have learned is that 8 out of 10 generators is a Generac. That's important to consider here because when you're making your investment via buying decision, I want to make sure that you get the best brand for your buck. And I feel Generac is the best one. But talk to me a little bit more about why you did this much research, because is it something that you're looking for specifically in the product for it to do in your home so you can make sure you get the results you're looking for? See, now what we've done is we've totally empowered the customer, given them some of our tribal education knowledge, and then put the ball back in their seat. So again, this is a brief episode, but a lot of training out there, you would have to do hours and hours and days to get this type of framework. And maybe you can avoid 10 years of mistakes like I did and just steal this. Take the framework, apply it, and definitely empower your customers so you can close more sales, win more with your manager, and your manager is going to win more with you because when you come back after 30, 40, 50 consultations with an over 25% close rate, you guys are going to be very much empowered together in your one-on-ones.
Thanks for tuning in to the Persistent Managers Podcast, which helps managers and direct reports win faster. Join our podcast newsletter for more insights to win faster, completely free.